What's up, Money Team? My name is Ghost. It's another edition of the weekly prep. We got a huge week coming up. FOMC, Apple earnings. So I'm going to be going over 3 tickers. Actually, I'll do 4 tickers to get us prepared for this week. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys get a lot of knowledge, education behind it, and definitely, most importantly, make a lot of money off of it. So let's get to it. I'm going to start off this week prep with NQ. So right now we're on the weekly time frame for NQs, the futures for Nasdaq. And as you can see, we got this consolidation area pretty much where we've dipped, rallied based. And this is the target I'm looking at for this week. Now that we pushed up past this demand and broken above, this is the next weekly supply level I am going to be paying attention to. So just looking at how the strength is, I do see maybe we would get some reaction here, probably come back down. But remember, this is on the weekly time frame, so it doesn't happen instantly. Let's go into the daily time frame. So here we are on the daily time frame. There's a few things I want to show you guys before I get into doing my daily zones. As you can see, when you do play zone breakout, so this was a supply. We did break above here, but do you recognize why this breakout was going to retrace? As you can see, most of these zone breakouts, you want high volume relative to the volume in the last few. So as you can see here, we got a great volume here. Lower, lower, lower. And then we finally broke out on this candle on the daily time frame. But something you could recognize is this volume is relatively low compared to previous volume bars. And then again, we had another breakout after we came back in. Right here, still small. And then again here, even smaller. But something you should recognize here on this volume breakout on this day, the volume was a lot higher and almost close enough to the average, probably above average for the last 2 weeks. So seeing that volume on this breakout of this zone, you can see that we were going to trend back up and we pretty much made new highs for the week. So now let's get into making our daily zones. So now I got my daily zones all drawn up. We start with the top of the zones I have is for August 16th candle and 15th, or not sure we'll get there this week coming up, but it is FOMC. We've had explosive moves, so just going to get all of my bases covered. And then the supply zone that we've been bouncing back and forth with the demand, previous supply. As you can see, had a lot of movements back and forth, a lot of touches in between here. This candle I found was on the 25th of August. And then demand zone on February 2nd. So staying in this range here for the past 2 weeks, almost since March 31st, where I've kind of told us that we would probably consolidate until we had FOMC. So now I'm looking to see this week if we're finally going to break out of this range, if we're going to go back down, or we're going to keep pushing up depending on what Jerome Powell says. We just react to the levels, we just anticipate it and react, and that's all we can do. We don't ever try to front run it. So here I'm going to be looking at for key levels inside these daily zones, which I use is the hourly time frame. So now looking at the hourly time frame, first thing I like to do is start from the top down. So I have my top zone right up here. So now I go into the hourly time frame, find those key areas, those smaller time frame hourly supply and demand zones, and just mark them off as more of a resistance, or if we're below it, as a demand or support. So as you can see here, we came back out. We have a lot of confluence areas here where they've used this as support in the past before breaking down, getting one more liquidity sweep and breaking down. So definitely an area I want to keep and watch if we break back up and get up to this level. Moving down, the next area where I've seen a lot of key area of support or resistance is this area where they've done a lot of liquidity sweeps above before going down, base the candle, bounce to here, again, used it as a resistance, and we pushed back down, and then getting into our supply zone right here. So the things I like to look for is just those two levels in between our zones. And then going into the zones, I definitely pay attention to where the zone was created, the price action that happened in there. So this is the area that this zone was created that we are currently in right now. So as you see, this is that pre-market high area where we consolidated, held, broke down, bounced back up. So I do have this area between here, the consolidation period. Before this, we got the strong sell candle, so I do have that marked off. And then the last part, just before we got out of the zone and created at the bottom of our zone. So you can see where we based here a lot, bounced, came back down, broke it, rejected it, recaptured. So you can definitely see how this area is a strong level, a key interest area. So I have that marked out as well. And then as we keep going down, now that we're below the price action, we're looking for support areas. This is definitely a support area, as you can see how we based a few times. Used it as support before breaking down. We've gotten a liquidity sweep here and rejected it back down. Now we can go into where we are sitting. See how that reacted when we got to these levels. So you can see how that bounced, got us that move up. When we rejected it, you can see how this consolidation period happened in between these zones. Again, we based above, broke down, based above, got in. It actually created this hourly previous supply above it, based right at the bottom. So for me, the reason I keep this bottom level here, I most likely will not take a trade in between these two levels. I will wait for price action above, test it, keep my stop and my risk management in between, where I'll keep it right underneath this level, or if we're below it, keep it right above. And that's only levels I'm looking at. If we do break down, we can definitely find those more key areas of support where we've seen a lot of price action happen. First off, we will take that low. Perfect, 12,808. Let's actually clean that up a little bit more. Perfect round number, 12,800. And then we can also look at this pre-market area high for the trend, moved back, rejected it twice, based above, and we finally got that push out. So those are my levels on NQ. I am going to be playing the resistances in this level. I do like puts in supply zones, but I don't just take puts right away. I wait for the price to show me. Below this zone, I will definitely target this zone, having my stops set above. If we push back below, I probably won't add my position until we break back below. But again, this is on the hourly time frame. It could take time to get all the way here, a few days. Whatever the time is, we stay patient and we react. And these are my levels for NQ for the week coming up. It is FOMC, so I wouldn't be shocked if we test both of these zones this week alone. We've done that a few times now. We either came out of supply back, but we've stayed in this tight range for that better part of a month now. So finally going to be looking to see if we could break back out of these zones. And let's get into our next ticker. So now we move on to ES, my favorite ticker to watch and pay attention to. Use these levels a lot throughout the days. We're on the weekly time frame, like I was saying, March 31st. That we'll be staying in this consolidation range. Hopefully we can break out Either we break back below the zone, come back to test here, or we break above. Just seeing how this whole consolidation period since November has just been a lot of up and down. So until we get some direction from our feds, we are most likely going to stay in this range for the time being. Let's get into the daily time frame. So looking at ES on the daily time frame, I got all my zones all drawn out. We did get a few new zones. Some old zones have been taken out for me. I will get into that. So starting at the top, I have that August 25th candle, where that will be the top of the supply zone area that I'm looking at. And we go into our new recent price action. I used to use this zone right here last week. That's what I was using. As you can see, I moved my zones more recent price action. We did get this trend change here. So I have this as my new supply. We created on April 18th, and our new demand zone we created on the 26th. As you can see, we got a nice trend change with a few candles. That's all it takes. As long as it gets created a higher low or a higher high, that is how you know it's a trend change. I still have some areas of key interest in here, which I use on the hourly to find, and I'll get into that. But for the lower zones, still using that March 2nd and on March 13th. Those are my zones for the daily for this week. We got a big week coming up, so I'll definitely be looking to see which way we go. I do anticipate us breaking this zone, and most likely we'll be sitting in here for Jerome Powell. If that happens, you should have this zone also marked out. Don't want to be caught off guard. You never know what might be said. So it's better to just have all your ducks in a row. So let's get into the hourly time frame and find some key areas. So just like NQ, I always like to start from the top down to find the key areas of resistance, and then we go below to find the key areas for support. And here we go to where this zone was created. Always find your resistances near the top or wherever your supply zone was created, and start from there down. So if we could look into how this zone was created, this price action happened around August 26th. Pretty much same thing I do with NQ. Want to find those areas where price rejected strongly. As you can see here, we got the liquidity sweep, created that zone with the strong sell candle. We do have an area here where it was an area of interest, was a resistance. We broke out before finally rejecting it. You can see here. Again here, again here. Definitely want to pay attention to this level here. And then once again, you can see how this area was a key area of interest. Very close to the bottom of our zone. You want to pay attention to that. Actually, I might move it up. Rejected, rejected, based above, used as support, made our price action in zone here before rejecting down. And then after that, we look to see where the next time we're here. So this is our zone, our most recent zone. As you can see how Y is a key area at this level. We did base here, came into our supply zone, rejected. I am going to be paying attention to this level. As As you can see how we based out. Used it again. Used it again. See if we have any action that happened. We got this nice rejection liquidity sweep here. Another liquidity sweep here. It was a pre-market high here. Another one liquidity sweep there. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a level I pay attention to. 4212.5, 0.50. So now we can get into some support levels. As you guys can see, this is also an area we rejected it. You want to just have that in mind. We most likely might come up here, and then whatever resistance gets broken most likely turns into support. So I wouldn't be shocked if we do come back and revisit here and use it as another basing points before we move back up. So we find those areas where previous resistance, where we broke out, those are the areas you want to keep a good watch on to see if we retrace back to them. So just trying to find more areas like that where we did have that. You can see why I am using this level as well. Go down the line, probably see it had a lot of action before. Yep, rejected right there. So those are my levels inside this supply zone. Then we got a lot of these liquidity sweep areas here. Previous supply zones. I will mark out this previous supply zone. Now turn demand. And another one right here. Those are my levels coming into this week with FOMC. This zone right here, and this zone, and this large zone, which I feel we will be making our way there probably before FOMC. If we get some strong movements coming into Monday and Tuesday before Wednesday. If not, we could probably retrace back here. This zone will become demand if we break back above and come back. We could probably potentially be sitting here for the Fed meeting. So I am treating this as a demand, and I will be looking for a bounce. But with FOMC, anything could happen, so we could break back below and target back the lower zones. So that's pretty much it for ES. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys get some education, figured out how I do look for those key areas, and you guys can start charting these as well for yourselves. And it's not about the levels as much as how you play them. Just remember that I use these areas as key areas of strength or weakness. So if we hold above one of these levels, I'm looking to target the next one. If we reject one of them, I'm looking to target the lower ones. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys can like, subscribe, appreciate you guys a lot. I hope you guys make a lot of money coming into this week. Peace.